Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Okay. Should I jump in, Dennis?
Yeah, Jackie.
Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. We apologize. We're having some technical difficulties with our speaker. So we're just going to reschedule for another day, another time. But we ask you to join us today because Dennis, Anthony, and I, we're going to have probably an ad hoc discussion. What we would like to do is talk about everything and anything, but propelling it will be the Liberia's vision, learning from others, and what we can take from other countries, what we can discard, and what we can make uniquely our own. So join the discussion. Feel free to join in when James is ready. But Dennis, Anthony, and I, we are here today to discuss the Liberia's vision. So welcome, Anthony, and welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Jackie. And although it's ad hoc, but I like the idea that we all have a perspective of Liberia. What is the kind of Liberia that we want? So when you say the Liberian vision and learning from others, because the world is, we're not isolated, right? We learn from each other. In Liberia, sometimes we hear some examples, especially after the war when we were so desperate coming out of the war. Some will say, "Oh, we want somebody who's ruthless. Somebody who want this, we want that," right? So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to discussing this. And we are inviting everyone, whether you are in Bapulu or Kamplin, you are in Bubadi or Glade, we want you to join, or you are in Logantown, join us and let us talk about the Liberian vision, learning from others, meaning other countries.
Yeah. Yeah. And Anthony, you want to jump in?
Jackie, sure. That is what I'm here. I want to say I'm happy to be here, and I want to welcome all our listeners, especially those in Liberia listening through the radio. This is Focus on Liberia. Jackie and Dennis said it right. It is our collective responsibility to make conditions better in our country in every respect. And one of the ways we can do that is to learn from other African countries. For far too long, we tried to say, "Oh, America, America." Nothing wrong with that. But people of our own kind, same culture, they are doing it. Things are getting better. Some are doing excellently well. What can we learn from them? What are things we need to change, in order to be able to get on that path to renewal, to development? So a lot of things we can talk about, and we want all of you to be part of this conversation. So let's get started.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Anthony. One of the things I saw, because I just came back from a 17-day trip to Zambia, and most of you know that I'm always praising Zambia. Zambia is one of the countries that's very close to my heart. And I attended some conferences there, and one of the things I learned is about the social cash social welfare transfer, and that is that the government using some of the money from the mines and from other different resources, the communities around, what they do is that there's a criteria. Now, for example, a woman, a single mother with 3 kids, a family, a household that has a very sick person or or disabled person, a youth who doesn't have a job and need just a push up, the community gets together and they decide, they send the names. They will say, oh, Anthony is in this house and his uncle is disabled and is putting a very huge financial burden on the family. So the government does these cash transfers. They send a little money to lift you up. And unlike the welfare that's happening like in the United States and other places, this is not permanent. You know, you're there maybe 2, 3 years, you've gotten on your own, and then the community comes back and say, okay, Anthony is done now. Let's start with Dennis. You see, so those things are able to uplift the society. Zambia is really a large country. I Googled and I know that Liberia fits into Zambia 6 times. So it's a big country. What I was amazed by is that if you leave Lusaka, first of all, Lusaka is huge. Lusaka, like Monrovia, can fit into Lusaka probably 8 times. Lusaka is huge and it's very developed. But if you leave Lusaka and you go to Chingola, which is another town, right? There's a city. It's like if you leave Monrovia and you go to Buchanan, there's a whole nother Monrovia. If you go to Sino, there's a whole nother Monrovia. And I'm not talking about small towns. I'm talking about huge, huge towns. The other thing that amazed me is that when I went to the mines in Chingola, all of the geologists I met, these people are so educated in what it is they're doing. They're all Zambians. Now I'm not saying that they don't have other people like the Chinese, the Indians, but it warmed my heart to see that Zambia has prioritized agriculture. They have so much food that they export food to the Congo and they export food to Zimbabwe. So those are some of the things that I saw that really amazed me, that they are very polite people. They're not a loud people. They're very quiet, but it amazed me to see a country that is only 60 years old and it's really, really moving. It's very inclusive, and the education is, I mean, you meet somebody and they're speaking Bemba and Tonga to you. Don't look at that. These people are educated and they are very humble. Now, that's just my layman experience. I sat next to a young woman. We discussed things. She was very unassuming. We talked, only for me to find out that she's a professor at Oxford in England, but you will not know that. She introduced herself by her first name and we discussed. They put a priority on education. And one of my pet peeves, as you know, is putting unqualified people in positions in Liberia, totally unqualified people. We met the economic
Right.
advisor to the president, very educated people in Zambia. Yeah. Yes, Dennis.
And Jackie, before we even go there and continue with the story, learning from others, I want us to take a step back, right, to see why. Because sometimes people say, well, the experiences, where they come from, or what is responsible for where the people are. Are we held by our past? And I'm saying this to say somebody would tell you, say, well, for Liberia, this is our past, this is what we went through. And minus the war, this is how we established. For Zambia or for Ghana, they were colonized by this or this and the other, right? So before we even go there, will this past of how we came to being, will that have a bearing on our current situation? will we be acting the way we act because of what happened in the past? Or because our experiences are different? Is that why?
I think that sometimes experiences do, and they kind of like make the country what it is. But I am always puzzled. Like somebody said, President Tubman said, we did not have the benefit of colonization. Do you really think that colonization was a benefit? You see, in Southern Africa, unlike West Africa, historically, they used indirect rule, right? The British did not live in West Africa. The British were ruling their different colonies through chiefs, right? They had some people. But in Southern Africa, if you look at the longitude and the latitude, the weather in Southern Africa is conducive. It's not too hot. Sometimes it snows. There's not a lot of mosquitoes. There are not a lot of things that we say, oh, I'm not going to live there as for a colonizer. So the colonizers lived among the people. When I say live, I mean they did direct rule, right? And another thing that they did was colonizers were not expected to leave. They lived there, so they helped to build the industries, right? So in Zambia, if you go to buy land, you know exactly who you're buying the land from. It's in the registry and everything because there were good charts, right? But to say that, oh, because that country was colonized, it was built better, who do you think built it if not the black population? So I don't think so. I think that there are a lot of countries. China was colonized by Japan, but look at China now. So when you say things like that, I feel like we're using a crutch to fall back on. Now I see a comment here by River Says Pro saying, I heard they adopted the Chinese language. That is not true. But the thing that amazes me about Liberians, let me put it that way, is that where I am working now at this university, right? We have young students who are learning Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, whatever, because they know that this new global age, people have to learn different languages if you want to travel to other places to work. It is a plus for you to know other languages. So are we to say that since I think Chinese, Spanish is one of the leading languages that American students are studying, are we now to say that Africans should not learn? Because we feel that, oh, no, people should learn languages to be competitive. Somebody had also said to me, oh, they're teaching Chinese in South Africa. Here's what happened. The Chinese government said, oh, we would like to teach Chinese, right? So we are going to pay for the teachers. Who is stopping Liberia from saying, when I was going to the university, they had Pele, they had Gio, they had Loma. Who is stopping us from teaching our local languages? There's nobody. So the thing is that we have to stop thinking, and I'm using some of these things that I read from the speaker who was to come today. We have to stop thinking that Liberia is so unique. There are countries that were colonized. There were countries that had other problems. There were countries that had war. We are not unique in anything other than what we think we're unique in. We need to learn from other people to move the country forward, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Anthony, I see you're laughing.
Yeah, Jackie, sometimes though recognizing the fact that the past can have an impact on how you behave, but what is also true is that you can move away from that, and you can use that as an experience even for a much better future. The experiences we have as a country, I believe that they are so profound and so many lessons that we can learn to build better and conduct ourselves better. But it's obvious that for the most part, our leaders are not learning. I continue to say this, and maybe I'm wrong, that our problem is more so about who's leading us. What is the vision our leaders are carrying? What do our leaders really want to see?
Yes.
And that's how I see it. For example, we are talking about the University of Liberia, your alma mater. in that kind of condition, how alarmed, how disgusted, or how angry our leaders are. I mean, do they really want to see that change? Are they ashamed to the extent that said this must change? It appears to me as though they're like, well, let me keep doing what I'm doing. Maybe someone will come and fix it. I think our leaders are not taking responsibility, and the solution for them has been, well, let's go and ask other people. And until our leaders can get to know that if you really need help from others, you need to be able to do for yourself better, and then others will come and join you. Because from what we get as a country in terms of revenue generation, how are we using it? So if we are using it on salaries alone, to keep our officials comfortable, and then the country deplorable, and our people in poverty. So the persons who was watching from the outside saying, oh, then if I give to them what they didn't work for, they're going to use it the same way. So they're going to hold on. Out of compassion, they might just give you very little. And so as I look at development, I tend to see that the countries that are doing much better with their own resources in terms of development, the powerful country tend to give them more. Why? They tend to give us less, and it doesn't matter how much we ask. So Jackie, my question to you, using Zambia as an example, what is it their leaders are doing differently to see the level of progress that they are doing, that our leaders not doing, for which we continue to, be left behind?
I think Anthony, and I don't want to say that Zambia is a paradise, but I think first of all, you must know what you want. You must know where the country is going. You must know how the country should get there. There must be a clear path, and you must surround yourself with people who know. You don't know everything as a leader, but there should be people around you who will help you carry that path. I'm thinking about Ian Kama in Botswana. Long time they had a story where one of his best friends was I think the Minister of Defense, right, who was caught in corruption, and then the corruption commission went to Kama and said, "Oh, this is the situation. Your best friend now is caught." And Kama said, "What? Why are you coming to me? Go and do your job." That is the leader we want. And Dennis, I mean, actually, you brought up a good thing, Dennis, if I may. For this discussion today, I was reading Lee Kuan Yew, right? And one of the things he said in his book, and I'm quoting Anthony, he said, quote, "It is easy to start with high moral standards, strong convictions, and a determination to beat down corruption. But it is difficult to live up to these good intentions unless the leaders are strong and determined enough to deal with all transgressors without exception." And he gave, end of quote, and he gave two examples. The first one was T. Changwan, was the Minister of National Development, right? So this guy stole money, and when they were coming to persecute him, he killed himself, right? Because of the shaming. That country has shaming. And the wife of the man went to the president and said, I don't want my family to lose face. So can the coroner not say that he committed suicide, right? And Lee Kuan Yew said no. They will put the correct thing that he died of. The second one is Wee Ton Bon. And I'm reading because I wrote it down. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, right? He accepted a paid trip. He accepted a house. He was sentenced to 4 years. You cannot say, like this DEA agent who was saying, "Bring my daughter to me." And we have this excellent, moral, principled officer who is saying, "Chief, let me do my job." And you are telling me that this man who is setting a precedent by saying that, "Oh, you know what? I can't. You go ask the people in what I did to them. Go ask the people in Marshall, and you are suspending him. That man should be fired. And unless leaders are able to put aside their friendships, nothing will change. Nothing will change in Liberia. You know, the leader sets the standard, and you must be willing to make people hate you. I always say to people, my father used to say to me, they don't have to be your friend, Jackie, but they must respect you. You see? And so when you say, I don't like that president, but that president, even his daughter, he can put in jail, the country will move forward, Anthony. It will move forward, you know?
Thank you, Jackie. I was interviewing the chairman of the a new party or proposed party, and that issue came up with the president suspending. If the leader does not set the agenda, or you can even fire. But what is it? What is the vision of the leader? What is the roadmap you give them even before putting them in the position?
Yes.
Because you must give somebody something to do. If they don't do it, you can compare them, compare what you have written down that they do with what they are doing. So when you do your performance review, is against something. I don't know what the president wants. So Mr. C always talk about leadership. It's very important. But let me bring in James on this one because I don't want to do the ageism here, but he's a young, and sometimes from my generation, we that were teenagers before the war, we sometimes look. But I'm curious to know people like James. When you look at Liberia today, is it? Are you saying because what you see today in your mind, is it that this is how it has always been, or this is better now, or this is worse now? What in your mind, is Liberia a place that you can be proud of? Can you boast of Liberia to your neighbors, or are you embarrassed and ashamed that Liberia is behind? How does today's generation look at Liberia and where you think we have been, from bad to worse, or the other way around?
I'm young, James.
Meta producer, you got
Okay.
plenty of things to do.
Yeah. So the question is very profound, and I think it takes my mind back to high school days when we were coming up during the tenure of former President Sirleaf. Things, if I try to assess between like the years after the war up to now, I would say that Liberia is retrogressing because come to think of it, right, when we came
But
after.
James, before you continue, do you even think far beyond the war, even though you were not there? But does your mind go there and say, okay, is it what was it like and what were they doing compared to now? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've read so many books about what Liberia, was during before that time, and we know that Liberia was exporting iron ore. In fact, one of the hardest, exporter of iron ores, and even the rubber and other things that we were doing during our time, right? And a lot of our parents told us that our time things were okay, right? Going to school, they did not have to go to the extra mile like people are doing now, and the schools were a little equipped. They had qualified teachers, competent people in classrooms, and they had government officials doing their jobs. And there were some penalties or some no benchmark for corruption, for corrupt officials and things. So even though the corruption still existed at that time, but it was at a minimum level that Liberians had something to eat. They had something to provide for them for their families. Now coming back towards the current era, I think that there are a lot of things that we are missing out. First, you talk about the mineral resources. How are we using them to at least develop our country? Look at the schools. See the hospitals. Just I think recently in a story, a lady filed a lawsuit against JFK for something I think they said the wrongful treatment or medication they gave. So look at the health sector. Look at our educational sector. Students are there do they really have the equipment, the materials to learn? Now, this is not Liberia I want to boast of, because I think my country has a lot to give back to its citizens than it is giving now. I think we can do more in terms of empowering people, in terms of nurturing the next generation, instead of what we are doing now. What we're doing now is we're just moving a cycle, right? One politicians after another doing the same old thing and getting the same results. And like as Mr. CS said, we seem not to be thinking about the future. All we do is that we just think about now, what happens in the next 6 years. Other countries are planning for 30 years from now, 50 years from now. And like the conference, the TICA conference in Japan, one of the things the Japanese government is doing is to invest, I think, $1 billion in Africa to teach AI. What is our government doing to at least help the children that are coming on now adapt to this AI system? What mechanism we have the LTA, we have the telecom ministry of telecommunications, we have the different ministries and agencies that are responsible. What are they doing to train these people to adapt so that in case of anything, Liberia don't have to go way back to people like Ebola. When Ebola came to the country, we didn't have any system in place. We had to go back to start over, and that become as a result of that, a lot of people died. So, what are we doing to adapt to the new age? I think we are not doing anything much, and we just moving a cycle, recycling the politicians, and the president is being a little reluctant in prosecuting people, appointing people. Like one of the panelists said, you do not appoint people who are incompetent in government. If the person is not performing the duty, remove them and replace them with someone who is competent. Because the output of your ministers and directors determine your fate in elections and the future of the country. So if you continue to have these people, incompetent people in offices, then it tells you that you are not serious for any development. So what can we learn from other countries? Let's learn to employ and appoint competent people, void of politics. Because if we start to put political affiliation in anything, then it becomes very difficult to even appoint anybody who may want to do the job that they are supposed to do. So I think, just to cut it short, we are now moving forward. I think we are just in a cycle moving around, and things are getting worse. Like yesterday, I was in the market. I was speaking with some marketers, as part of our engagement with the locals, right? They complain about school fees. School is about to open. They do not have much to pay to send their children to school. So imagine the amount of students or the children who will be sitting home this semester because the parents cannot afford. What is the government doing to empower the marketers to provide at least loans or something that they will be able to send their children to school? Because, mind you, these are the future leaders. If the current generation erodes, what happened to these people? If they are not educated, then we are falling into another trouble, because if you give an ignorant man our presidency, you know obviously what he would do. So yeah, so I think we are not really moving forward. We're just in a cycle, just moving around, not doing anything much.
Thank you. Jackie, you mentioned I think you call it cash transfer to the vulnerable
Yeah.
in Zambia. When you walk in our country, you see despair, you see vulnerability all over the place. And more than likely, the money you talk about is coming from the Zambia budget, or there's a program maybe others are contributing to.
Yeah.
The application of a program, we have to be more specific to a particular people. How you think, looking at Liberia needs in terms of education skills lacking grossly, capacity is at the lowest it has ever been in our nation's history. So it's like every dollar we spend should be able to accomplish two things. All right, should be able to minimize poverty and at the same time transfer skill to our people. That way, we are achieving two things at the same time. The two major important things: skills that we need, and that people are living a little more comfortable life. How can we, in your opinion, come up with something similar? That I know there has been funds set aside to give to small businesses in Liberia to empower them. Usually there's you around that money from the Ministry of Commerce, and there's that, people fund the money, no accountability. But this is a very important program. How do you think in Liberia we can adapt something like that? Not only alleviating people from poverty, but at the same time transferring skills using that cash transfer program.
Okay, so let me just read something. So the social cash transfer program is the government of the Republic of Zambia program, which has been operating in Zambia since 2003. It is implemented by the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. The main objective is to reduce extreme poverty and the intergenerational transfer of poverty among beneficiary household, right? And then they gave you the different criteria. And then they follow up by saying, 22% increase in the number of children who are receiving minimum feeding requirements, things like that. Okay, how can we do that? Yes.
Jackie, before you go there, when Jim was talking, I saw a lot of things running through your head. I don't know whether Anthony saw them too, but go ahead.
Yeah, talking about what Anthony is saying and tying it into what James said. There's a book. It's called A Leaderless Revolution by Carney Ross. And he echoes de Tocqueville, who this French guy who went way back when America was just forming itself, right? He traveled to different states, sat down at community organization, and he said, America's strength is in the people, in the communities. Now, I said this thing when I went to the University of Liberia in January of this year, how dirty the place was. In the midst of the dirt, and I have the video, I think I posted it on our WhatsApp group. There's these people in the Palawa hut singing the rebel songs, and Waka do this. Okay, when we were in school, there was nothing that stopped us from the girls' dorm to come on Saturday and clean the dorm. If you say government cannot do anything and you cannot live in filth, why are you not putting together? Dennis, I will come back to Zambia and I will answer Anthony's question. Zambia has another program, Anthony, that if you see dirt on the street, right, you get a friend and say, oh, you know what, let's go clean from Center Street to Randall Street. And you guys clean it and you go to the government. It's called this emergency cash because you need something. You say, oh, I clean Center Street, though. So they say, okay, yeah, $10 for cleaning the street. Those are initiatives civic initiatives that help. You get together and you say to the president of the university, we need to clean our university. So on Saturday we will come, but we need these things. Here's the budget, and you help yourself. But the cash transfer, Anthony, is again the institutions. You see this thing started since 2003, but the communities, right? So who lives in the community? Who's the head of the community? Is that community strong? Would that community, when they say, oh, we want to give money to Mr. Anthony Sayegh because Anthony Sayegh has his sick uncle in the house, are they doing it because Mr. Anthony Sayegh has given them small money to put his name on the list? Or are they doing it because the entire community came together, and say, oh, we want to help Anthony. We agree as a community that Anthony needs help. Now, this person who asked me cash transfer to what end, go and read the cash transfer document on Zambia's site. They do evaluation. They go, oh, this child was 10 pounds, but the child is 15 pounds now because the child is eating. The child is having more meals. So this cash transfer is working. They don't just give money. If you look at that cash transfer page, you will see all the results. Oh, this woman, she had 3 children. She had only 1 mosquito net. Now she's able to afford 3 mosquito nets. So we have lifted her. They're not telling you that they're going to make you a millionaire. It is to lift. So now that you have been lifted, let's get the other person on the list. It is our unwillingness as Liberians to look at other things to transform the society. we cannot continue doing things as they are. And I will tell you about the education that James talked about. When the coup happened, Anthony, in Liberia, we were all there going to school. It created a mental shift. Why? Here we are going to school, and we have been taught that if you learn, you will go up the ladder. You will get a job that
Yeah.
that will require skills, and then we see all of a sudden these people who are not learned, these people who are not skilled, they're driving big cars. They cut that middle ground, right? Forget about the education, let's go. And that thing has affected Liberians. It has affected us to say we don't need education to be able to climb this ladder to succeed in Liberia. We don't need education. And because we don't need education, we're going to push it aside. And the government is agreeing to that view by bringing in incompetent people. You know, are you telling me that there are not people sitting down who are teachers? Are you telling me there are not people who are in the civil foreign service that you could make ambassador? Are you telling me that you cannot find people? You can say all you want about Zambia at the University of Zambia Medical School. I think about 50% of them are from Zimbabwe because they have this regional focus and people are studying. Just the other day, what happened? 400 doctors, right, went on strike in Zambia because they couldn't find jobs. But they can find jobs other places. That is what I'm saying when there's capacity. So you say Liberia needs trade. Oh, Liberia should trade with Ghana. What does Liberia make to trade? If we have a Goa, right, and we say, oh, the Africa free trade, we can send things to America. What do we make? What are the industries that will make us compatible? If we have Agenda 2063 and they say we should trade with other African countries, what is it that we make? What is it? What is the capacity that we have that we can make? And then James is saying now we have ICT, we have STEM, so now we have AI. AI is coming. There are some jobs that will be totally eradicated. So when you go to the University of Liberia and you hear people, what do you want to study? Accounting, public administration. Have you looked at the Economic Outlook handbook that tells you that in the next 20 years, these are the careers that will make money? Your accounting degree will be done by AI. What is it that we can do to find a job to alleviate us from that? And what it is that Ghana has decided in the Philippines, nursing. We're going to train nurses, and the people are getting old in Europe. The nurses are going to go there and help. That's job. But what is it that Liberia will say, this is the thing we need to focus on? What is it? Every time a government comes, they bring different agenda. What is it that we are doing?
Thank you, Jackie. It's important. Two things you said that I marked that is about that shift from the coup. Because when we were growing up, and I even wanted to ask them, we admire certain people. Yes. There are certain people you wanted to be like because of the way they spoke, the way they carried themselves, how they conducted business, right? Either in the Senate or wherever. But like you said, that shift came when you saw that people who knew nothing, they started riding big cars, they're doing big jobs, and it's like, oh, okay, so really education didn't matter that well. And that brings me to the point that even as people, you said on the government level, you said, what is it that we want? Even as people, what is it that we have consensus on? From anything from education to corruption, to health, to national security, to drugs. Take for corruption, for instance. What do we as a community, like we were talking about the cash transfer system in Zambia, you say, the community will agree on something. What do we agree on as a community? So even in Liberia, what is our consensus about corruption? Because the way we define corruption is if you are benefiting, is not corruption. And that permeates everywhere. If somebody is doing something, is stealing, but the person is redistributing the cash, is giving out handouts, we don't look at that person as being corrupt anymore. So I think apart from the the level of government, the leadership, even as a community, what is it that we agree? I see among the young people, almost every young people is an ideologist, so bent on supporting this person or that person. Mr. C, and let me bring this to you because you follow this very well. Is there a way, is there a place that you see people thoughts and ideas are as to how they can improve condition? Or is it like, okay, let government do it? Do we agree about what our society should focus on? Take for instance, if like norms of the society, do we have those things anymore? Do we as a community agree and we frown on certain behavior? Or is it that free for all? What is the general, among ordinary Liberians? What is their thought process? You've been
Then
there
the
a
real,
couple of times.
yeah. Then the reality is that in Liberia, we know bad behavior, and but bad behavior is not being punished. Bad behavior is not being discouraged. Bad behavior is being celebrated. Bad behavior is being tolerated. And so, as a result, good behavior, good standards, morals are despised. And to turn that around, I will say, leadership must come. Now, individuals can take responsibility. All us will follow. And how many person going to follow? Let's give an example. We know Tiawon Gonglo is a man of high standards in Liberia. How many Liberians are following him? Very less. Even though they all agree he's a man of higher standards. So the Liberian who believe that he's men of higher standard, why are they not? All Liberians will claim that, we want the right thing, we want the right people. But do you follow the right person? If we're not following the right person, or all of us, or the right people, the question is why? Why are we not following the right? So it's like our society has come to a point where what is good is not attractive, because over time, our people have not seen the evidence of what good can do for us. And the reason we have in that breakdown, Dennis, is because we don't have the leaders who will enforce that. No, these are the standards we must uphold.
Yes.
In our schools, what is the university president enforcing? In our government, what standard is the minister setting? What standard is the president setting? Now, let me bring it to this government. One of the good things that the government did, it launched what they call PMCS, Performance Management and Compliance System. And according to the government, they want to monitor the performance of all government officials. And if they get to know that you are not performing, you're not meeting the minimum threshold, you will be replaced. And they went further by asking all other government officials to sign up on this performance. So you are a government official, you sign that, I sign this, I'll be able to perform, I'll meet these standards, I will make, if not, my monthly report or quarterly report. They all signed that. Yeah. This was the idea of the government, to hold people accountable so that capacity can be maintained, so there can be efficiency, so that people will be doing their job. But what has happened after that? It was just that. So whose responsibility is to ensure that which they sign on to, they are implementing it. The leaders must do that. And so if you are Minister X at, say, Finance Ministry, the president should put you in charge that this performance thing we talk about, you will enforce it here. And you have to report to me how others are doing. But again, it is just about, well, let's just do it because, we want to project that we're doing something. But in actuality, they're not following through on it. Yes. So the people who are watching, they say, well, look at them, look at them. It's like we parents, your children are watching you if you set the standards. If you're going to compromise the very standards, then of course, you're going to weaken this very standard, and then there will not be order. And that is why we see in our country. That is why we see in our country. I mean, how can we, in our right conscience, allow schools like Tottenham High, a school that has so much need, to be in the condition it is in? The president is aware of it. All our leaders. In fact, my understanding is that Samuel 12 attended Tottenham High. He graduated from there. There are many other good leaders in our country who got better education, who attended that school. And they have influence in government to direct, budgetary allotment to these institutions to see that the standard they enjoyed yesterday can at least be maintained, but that is not the case. And it's hard to talk, but the thing is, it is doable. It must take the leaders to say, look, this will be done or else not. I said to somebody, I said, look, I'm looking for a president who tells a finance minister, give me a budget that allows 60% of what we generate to public sector investment and 40% to run the government. If it means that every minister will get just $1,000, so be it. I am prepared for the Liberian people to run me out of here, because I am investing in them and giving their brothers and sisters who are government officials less money, and we're not even buying cars for them, but they are buying a car. I want that Liberia to run me out of this place as head of this country. Maybe we'll change that. And others have done it. And and I think we need that kind of leadership in Liberia, and that is lacking. It comes to our schools. And so the question I ask is that, in order for Liberia to get on a good footing, our priority has to be education. Because if we say we want to manage our resources better, do we have the knowledge? Who do we have to take the lead on managing our diamond? Do we have people with the right education and experience and expertise in that area? And, even agriculture we're talking about. What kind of skills we doing? Because the youth of the country, this is my last point, the youth of the country represent the future of Liberia. If you look at the crisis we have right now with these drugs, now this is stealing Liberia future away at a 5G speed. And Jackie, I am not sure our leaders are alarmed. Our leaders should be scared, because when they leave, when people of our ages leave, the people that are on drugs, who are now parents, will be the Liberia. And that Liberia is not good. But look at the fight on drugs. Lip service is a joke. And until we are alarmed by this situation and prepared to take the practical steps that are needed to be taken, I don't know. I said I want to see a Liberian leader who does not travel after becoming president outside of Liberia in 3 years. And the only place that Liberian president travels is to go to the county, to talk to every Liberian citizen that you have a responsibility to this country. If you are a fisherman, fishing better and bring fish so that the next child will eat good fish to go to school. If you are a teacher, even if that one single child you have, show up in the class. I want a Liberian leader who says that and means that and communicate that year after year and going to the counties. Forget about driving to America. You will be amazed if you give the people the belief that we can do that. We can take personal initiative and collectively we'll be moving our country forward. You will see the help that you need from us side will come. And I don't know who's that leader that's going to do that. And until we see that, we'll all be going around the circle, Jackie.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that you're right when you say that Liberians, we know right from wrong. I think for us, it's the power dynamics. A person who's rich or who has money, they can do wrong. Even if it's wrong, we look the other way. And again, like I said, I read a piece by Amati San again, and the one by Lee Kuan Yew, and he said, I'm quoting, he said, a good leader is an efficient manager. It is in the extraordinary leader who is attuned to the unpleasant truths about their own society, unpleasant truths that need correcting, right? And then, of course, our esteemed author today, who will be joining us later, says that societal development is driven by culture. So a society is well ordered so that everyone can enjoy freedom. So the thing also is that people a lot of talk about development. Okay, we can do this, but it is the leader You know, people like to talk about Lee Kuan Yew. Okay, he was a dictator, but Lee Kuan Yew knew where he wanted his country to go. You know, he knew that, and it's funny because I wrote something the other time about let people go kicking and screaming, but we will move Liberia into where it should go. Now, listen to this. What he said. This is Lee Kuan Yew, and he said. Uh, he says here, and it's actually. He said I've. He says here, and I'm reading it from his book. I'm quoting now, I'm often being accused of interfering in the lives of citizens. Yes, if I did not, had I not done that, we wouldn't be here today. And I say without the slightest remorse that we wouldn't be here. We would not have made economic progress if we had not intervened, in person, no matter who your neighbor is, how you live, how you. But look at Indonesia. Indonesia is this small country, right? Anthony,
Yeah.
Indonesia got independence in 1965 from Britain. They had almost no natural resources, poorly educated, hardly a good sanitation. 50 years, and Singapore is one of the world's wealthiest countries. From the GDP into of 50,000 is now a GDP per capita, but the GDP now is $33.9 billion, right? So Liberia is not unique in some way. Liberians can do this. You know, it says man, not the earth, makes civilization. You know, the single factor in Singapore's success was its people. So we need a visionary leader. You know, maybe somebody not as Lee Kuan Yew as a dictator, but we need to move Liberia forward. And I agree with you that the people say the thing that you're doing, I see it. So I can't even hear what you're saying because I'm watching what you're doing. And I agree with you, Anthony, that some of our leaders, they haven't even been to Kepamas, but they're in a foreign country, you know, and nobody wants you going to the country all the time with an outstretched hand. Even if you're going, you can say, oh, I built this, but I need to reach this. But you can go and ask, oh, give me for me to start the foundation. No. And you see that trickles down. And I will say this. You see, Anthony, we need think tanks in Liberia. We need to sit down with civil society and talk. One of the things is the diaspora. We always talk, oh, we send money home, we send money home. Okay, you send money home. You're sending it to your family. That's your family you're supposed to send. What has India done? India now has said, okay, yes, you're sending money home, but here's what we will do, right? We're going to work with the bank. You can send money home to buy a house. You can send money home to start to start a project. You can send money home to say, oh, I wanted to go to that school, instead of sending piecemeal, right? So India has used its people in the diaspora to say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. But it seems as if for Liberia, it's like we have these ad hocs, you know. Ghana has a national diaspora engagement policy to integrate the diaspora. Rwanda has a diasporic youth. You know how Israel takes all the young people from around the world. They take them to Israel. If you're born outside of Israel, one time in your life, you must go to Israel. You must make a pilgrimage, right? So Rwanda has started doing that. They've started reaching out to the kids who are born of Rwandese parents outside of Rwanda to say, come home, come see what we are doing, come help us. You know, so those are strategies that we can use. Like in India, like I say, they have 2% of the Indian population live outside of India with $1 trillion in wealth, right? So to maintain the cultural traditions, they say, come and buy land. There's a restriction on agriculture land, but come and buy land. You want to buy a house, go through the government and buy a house. Don't give the money to your uncle. And then when you get there, your uncle show you a one-room zinc shack and say, this is the money you've been sending me. We have to put things in order, and that comes with planning. Anthony, it comes with planning. And I will tell you one thing, and people may hate me for that. They say there's a diaspora conference taking place, I think, in September of this year, right?
Mhm.
And they're inviting
Mm-hmm.
people to come. All of a sudden, I see this thing. Who did you reach out to? Are they? I see different Liberian groups. Are they working together for an agenda to move the country forward? They're more involved in politics than in development. Those are things that we need to talk about. You know, people try to say, "Oh, I don't want to make these people angry. I'm not looking for a job." You know, Liberia needs a transformation, and it will come only with the change of mindset, and it will come with a visionary leader who, as you say, is not afraid to make things happen. That's what we need.
And Jackie, on the housing front, as we were speaking, this came to mind. You know that those of us who are fortunate to be in America, if on a yearly basis, if you went to check, or if you ever check, you'd be surprised that at the end of the year you send about 50,000, some people 40,000, to family, friends, and other relatives, just as contributing to school, feeding, and other things, right? And so there have been a lot of reports that have been like, okay, this year Liberians in America sent about 400 million. And there was another one I saw somewhere that said 800 million. I'm like, what? Really? Did this happen? And so it brings me to this point. If our government can see that as an opportunity, say, look, this is our middle class citizens.
Yes.
All right. These are people, some of them earning 100,000, 150,000, 90,000, and so on and so forth, even though they're not here. But how can we use this as an opportunity to develop our country, especially in the housing sector? Because all of us want to buy a house. All right.
Yes.
And then you go through a relative or somebody, and then it frustrates you. And so can a government or a Liberian citizen who is a businessman say, well, let me find a construction company that can come and talking about real estate here. Do we have a bank in Liberia that can say, look, this is an opportunity?
Yes.
If we as a bank can build these homes, the Liberians in America can have $400, $500 a month as mortgage. And then the way they do it yet, you move into the community, you buy the land, you lay everything out, you put the street, and you build the homes. And now the Liberians who are outside of Liberia, some Liberians in Liberia too can afford, maybe people working for government, they can afford $500 a month. And now you will see that new communities are developing.
Yes.
They are organized. Roads are there. All right. And the community now say, well, we want the LEC here. And now LEC will say, well, these are people who can afford. And the next thing you know, the congestion in Morovia, people start moving. I know when people started in Corwell, many people left Negrutan. Many people left Negrutan and went to Breville. But those places were not organized. But I'm talking about, a way we can do it with government support so that we can have homes that are outlaid. Then we can start talking about address system. And then we need a Ministry of Public Works. All these alleys can tell the yellow machine. I hope
the
yellow machines here now, or they're still negotiating.
Not yet.
But James, I remember I saw a video. Some yellow machines were being taken from the port, and people were along the streets, and they were celebrating. Was that another fly or what? But let me leave that politics. So, Jackie, this is how I think we focus on development. That's just one aspect of it. That's just one aspect of it. We can even go to the business aspect. Somebody who can afford $1,000, and Jackie can get into business in Liberia. Crowdfunding is another thing, and when Liberians start a business in Liberia, how long does it take? I have a business in Liberia now. Jackie, had been 3 months now. I've been at LTA, the Liberia Telecommunication Authority.
Yeah.
My business is digital, so we use mobile money. There's one they call USSD code. The government has to assign you a code. Jackie, it's been 4 months now. I've been sending comments. They don't even respond. 4 months. My government is frustrating me. I'm a Liberian citizen. I need a simple code. A simple code. And I have all the communication to prove it. I have gone there when I just from Liberia. I went there. I created the urgency. I invited them to our office. They did their due diligence. to just issue a code. It's almost like here in America, you entered to one of the phone providers, you try to get a phone number. That is what this is government wasting time. And we apply $500 to apply for that code, Jackie. We pay the $500. They're supposed to do the due diligence. And then after that due diligence, we're supposed to pay $1,500 to the Liberian government. Liberian government has been missing on that $1,500 now for 4 months. That's money that can go to something else. Maybe that could go to University of Liberia to start painting. And, but government is here to collect that money because of inefficiency. Maybe someone wants us to come there and say, my man, make it happen and yes, mountain. It could be the case because there's nothing stopping them.
And why would Dennis, Anthony, why a country is the ease of business transactions that make investors come also, as well as the return on their investment. But I'm sitting here thinking about you and thinking also that I remember when we had a grant and I wanted to go to Liberia and I sent an email. Mm-hmm. And I waited. So we started the project in Ghana, and people be like, why you can't help your country? Why should I? If you can't even check your email, time is money. Time is money. But let me say something to you, Anthony. When you were speaking, I was laughing because I said, do we really have a system in Liberia? And I could be wrong, so people can chime in. Because I remember, like, when I would go to an office to conduct business, the secretary would say, but you got a man telephone number? Why would I have his personal number? Should not the ministry have a personal email? I mean, an email and a personal number to conduct business? And that is a very bad thing. Why? Because if Mr. X is Minister of Lands and Mines, and you're conducting business with Mr. X on his personal phone and his personal laptop, when he leaves, Mr. Y comes in to take the job. Mr. Y doesn't know what Mr. X is doing.
And something happened like that. Something similar like that happened with one of the government ministry pages, the website. So they had somebody using their personal maybe account at the government website. So after the administration left, what the person did was just change the name, and then everything. Imagine the followers, everything just went away. They had to open another page or create another website for that ministry. It's very bad.
And it's so easy to make a website. Look, Anthony, in Rwanda, they have Rwanda Net, right? It's a network that connects all of the ministries together. So you have things on the cloud. So you're like, okay, Jackie's gone. But since Jackie is gone, Anthony has taken in these are the handover notes. When I was in Zambia, I wasn't worrying because I know my assistant, everything I'm doing, I'm copying her. So if somebody comes into my office and says, oh, I need to talk to Jackie, she says, oh, what do you want to talk to Jackie about? Oh, so and so. Oh, I know what I can help you. But what it is, I find is that some people, they like the power. When they are leaving, everything shuts down, right, James? It's only me. I'm going to visit Maryland. No business will be conducted until I come back from Maryland. What is that? What is that?
Once you're not there, they can't start sending letter. The minister not here. So the letter cannot be sent. Oh, we can't do this.
Look, Anthony, those are the things that, and when somebody said corruption is not only stealing money, it is true. It is true. It is the incompetence. It's the loss of time. It is, I was here one time, I downloaded a form. So when I went to the ministry, I had the form. Somebody came and said to me, sister, I can get a form for you, just $5. I said, but I already have the form, it's free. Why would I give you $5? You go to the ministry, to the Temple of Justice. The man is telling me, first of all, I'm going in. The man meets me in the courtyard and say, what is it that you want? I can help you. Why would you help me? Anthony, we need, I don't know, but we need to start cracking down on the small corruption as well as the big corruption. And I tell people, and I will keep telling people, I went to Zambia, I got on a plane, there was no visa, I got to Zambia. The woman asked me how long I was going to stay. I told her, she said, welcome to Zambia. There was no visa fee. So I would advise some of you to go and visit another African country in the southern region where they are quiet, they are peaceful, and they're not loud, and things work. You know, it is amazing to me, Anthony, that you have people in government that don't know what the other person was doing. There's no list to say, oh, let me read what Mr. Y was doing since I've taken the job. Everybody comes, they create their thing, they leave. Another person comes, create their thing, they leave. What's that? What's the continuity? Eh? You go on a website,
Oh,
there's no website. The website is so old. Some of them, they've got the minister from 5 years ago still on a website. What is it that we're doing? That you cannot use the ICT you could say, okay, you know what? English department at LU or UL, they call it now. Why don't you edit the newspapers? Communications department, can you train some of these people who are reading the news? Because other people are listening to them, and when they are reading the news, it's like they are counting. It's like that the first time seeing the paper, they don't even know how to pronounce words. Can you work with them? Can you mentor some of these up and coming journalists? These are the things we're talking about, Anthony. And yes, we have this vision, but we also need these civic organizations to step up on these things. You know, we need to do that, else we will lose a whole generation of people when we are gone. A whole generation.
yep, James. James. Okay, he's talking something that. Yeah. So, Jackie, I'm enjoying the conversation. We as a people, and the citizens can take responsibilities, and I think a lot of citizens are doing it. We need a government, and we need a leadership that is allowed, and our opportunities are uncountable. We just need to seize those opportunities. And the examples are there. Rwanda is doing okay. We can talk about Singapore. Singapore now, globally speaking, in terms of economic power, is a huge economic transit point. Very small country. You talk about tourism, and many people are going there. And you know that's one of the things. Liberia. I mean, tourism, for example. I mean, every American should want to come to Liberia.
Why? Why?
Historically speaking, the history is profound, about who is telling that story. Is the information ministry telling that story? But the history is not the only thing. Did we put into place? Have we built the structures, all right, that the people will come to? When they come, will they have the comfort? Patawi, for example, the road at least of Patawi, I saw a journalist wrote an article appealing to the government to pave the road leading to Patawi waterfall.
Yeah.
And so then you look at what the priorities. I mean, other African countries are making billions through tourism. All right. This is a sector, you need to make the investment. If you can't make the investment as a government, then look for business individuals who can invest in tourism. The money will still come to you. You can do that, and it will happen. And again, James, I want to hear your perspective. As a young person in Liberia, do you have hope? Have the young people giving up hope? Are you hopeless? What you think will happen? Do you believe that in your lifetime you will see a Liberia that is doing well in education, that we having our roads paved, and then we have an airport that is befitting? Do you see improvement in everything in Liberia?
Yeah, so I think that there are still hopes for a better Liberia, and like myself, a lot of young people believe that Liberia will get better. That's why you see these days you have so many young people going out there to get their degrees, to be educated, so that they come back to contribute to our national development. Yes, so I believe in a better Liberia, and I'm hopeful that it will happen in the next maybe 10, 15, or 20 years from now. But the only disappointment is that the path towards that is very rocky, and it seems that we are drifting from that path and going towards another path that is very destructive or not progressive. So, but one of it, like you said, the hospitals, the schools, and all of those areas or sectors, I believe that we can improve on them. And one way to improve on them is to be intentional about what we do. Our government, the citizens, private citizens, foreigners, foreign residents, we have to be intentional about the development of our country. If we want to improve the health sector, let's be intentional about, let's, for example, allot specific amount of money in the budget to say, okay, this year we want to ensure that there's medicine in all of the hospitals across the 15 counties. Okay, the following year, let's look at the schools. We'll provide chairs, we'll provide maybe materials for the students. This will improve. Maybe we'll add 10 million or whatever amount that will be needed to improve all of the infrastructure, the schools in our country. And with that, we encourage young people. And the thing is, we 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 Liberians, we need to pressure the government. Now, if you notice, I noticed something very shocking. During the CDC administration, right, you had every little thing that was done by the government, rather, it was criticized. And I mean, when I say criticized, it was not polished, meaning it was just people said it bluntly that the government is stealing, they're not doing anything at all. Now, when you come to this government, people try to polish the corruption. Oh, the man stole, but the president suspended him. He suspended the man. What did you do after suspension? Oh, okay, they paved the road, but the road is substandard, but at least the man doing it. At least he's doing what? The road is substandard. Say it's substandard. Do not try to polish it or sugarcoat your words, because it's not because it is a unity party government. If they are doing the wrong thing, let's say they are doing the wrong thing. If they are doing the right thing, we commend them for doing the right thing. Like the road that is leading towards from Freeport to Simple Beach, right? They are trying to do that route, but then there are so many things that you can question. You still have those makeshift structures along the road. And when the president made his remarks, he said that and they were going to do 4 lanes. And when they were breaking people's structures, they promised to not be partial in that exercise. But now people are crying. They are breaking certain structures and then leaving others there. Why? And the drainage system, you building a road, but you do not build a good drainage system. How does the road last longer with that? Because rainy season coming after 1 or 2 years, that road will crack off, and then you will have to go back again. Maintenance is one of the major problems in our country. To maintain the roads, to maintain the schools. And I'm even sorry for the new school government dedicated in Bon County. I've been worrying about how would they maintain out that school, because look at UL where I attend. The Chinese building now is cracking. And if you go down to the AB building, you see the entire place is very bushy, the grass. The place is leaking. So maintenance is a problem. And these things just come from, our leaders, our lawmakers. It is very easy for a lawmaker to increase the salary, or for them to increase the salary or fund money for a new agency or ministry. But it is very difficult to just provide money to pin UL. It's very difficult. To provide chairs, we throw chairs on our heads during test time. In this modern age,
So,
imagine.
James, permit me to interrupt you. You said that you have hope.
Mhm.
And I know some of you say that because you want to be nice. And you think when you say that you don't have any hope, you don't hope that things will improve. There's this sense I get that maybe people feel that, oh, the man doesn't love Liberia. You know, you can't hope when you're looking at all the indicators pointing in the wrong direction. And I feel strongly that, when we communicate that way, then we are contributing to, the same thing that we are speaking against. This is the flagship university of our country that has been in ruin for years. You attend it. There are tents on the university campus. There are classes that are leaking. There are bathrooms that cannot be used.
Very filthy.
This is the nation's #1 university. So, James, tell me, where is your hope coming from? James, tell me. So, if you have a president who spent $1 million to buy cars and leaves a university that is the pride of the nation, something that's supposed to project that he is a leader, you say, I'll buy my car. I feel comfortable in my. But when he goes on the campus, is he ashamed? I mean, it's not just about president now. The president passed, same as when I was in power, And it also speaks to, I'm also talking to our legislators. There are bathrooms at the legislature that cannot be used because they are in terrible shape. They have not been fixed. I was in Liberia last October and I saw in the yard of the Capitol building somebody using chapia in the day and age to cut grass. And yet, the speaker rides a car value over maybe 50,000, but they cannot buy a lawnmower to cut the grass. So, Jim, where is your hope coming from? Please explain to me. I really want to know. If you have your nation's international airport, I just drove through there 3 weeks ago. No light, not a single airport on that road. So, Jim, where is your hope coming from?
So my hope is coming
magician.
It's not like a magic, but I just believe that there are generations to come, and the young people, I believe in the potential of young people, and especially that the fact that we are eager to learn, we want to learn, we want to explore opportunities. The only problem is the opportunity our country is now providing it for the young people. But I strongly believe that this generation that is coming, I mean, you can't wait to see what they have to offer, because there are a lot of good things they have, and provided that they are going out to learn, and like Jackie said, right?
Yeah.
Those experiences from other countries that they are getting, they're going to Rwanda to learn, Zambia, America, Europe to learn, to get their degrees and come back. I'm sure that what they are seeing and their interaction with their peers, I don't want to think that they will come and continue in the same direction. I want to believe that there will be change, and things will become better as soon as we try to see Liberia as our own. And that's what the young people are trying to do, see Liberia as our country, and only us can develop it. That's where my hope lies.
All right, James. It's good to be hopeful. It's not a bad thing, but when we're talking about development, we're talking reality. For something to happen, it has to be a reality. It really has to be a reality, and the way things are going in our country, until I start seeing the indicators, until I start seeing the decisions, until I start to see the investment, until I start to see the attitude, until I start to see the leadership, all right, then then I will know that, yes, I mean, definitely things can change in Liberia in relatively short time. In a period of 10 to 15 years, we can turn Liberia around.
Yes.
It is not impossible.
It's not impossible.
It is not impossible. The idea of the yellow machine, I'm a fan of it. But I don't know why they still giving our people hard time. I don't really know. I don't really know. Because roads, we all agree, is one of our major problems. The roads don't have to be paved to be pliable, to be used. No, not necessarily. We all will love paved roads. But the gravel roads, when they are graded up perfectly, when people are on the road, making sure the conditions are good, we can get to Sano, we can get to Grand Cru. All right. Way back, people used to get to Grand Cru. The roads were not paved, but the conditions were okay. And so when you look at fast forward, when the war has advanced, so much so that you can sit anywhere and talk to anybody anywhere, and we are still struggling. And then you think and say, "Well, what has happened?" So Jackie, I bring it to you, so we can take leave here. What must happen first? This is a big question for you. What must happen first for us to start taking those necessary steps. Everything, there's going to be a foundation. You can't, if you can't have a house, you don't have a foundation. When you talk foundation, you're talking about planning first. You must have a plan. The plan will carry the foundation, and your foundation must be solid for you to have a good house that will last for so long for your family. What must be done? Because what I see, Jackie, is government comes in. Now we have the rescue government they have for inclusive development. All right. And then we have PROPO. Do we have a national development plan as a country, irrespective of whoever's in power, that they can follow? Something for infrastructure, something for economic development, something for education. Do we have it? I mean, does Unity Party have to come in with their plan and then CDC come in with another plan? So tell me, how does it have to happen?
That's why I'm not a fan of this big shot who know you. Oh, I'm a friend of the president, put me on a committee. I think what needs to happen is that we need to start having discussions with civic organizations and communities. You go in the communities. What is it that we need? What is it? Who are we as a people? I'm reminded about East Timor, that when the UN went there, these East Timorese, as poor as they were, as tortured as they were, they met the United Nations with a document to say, this is where we want our country to go. And please, if you cannot help us to reach there, please leave us. We don't, you're right. From every president, we got document. This one, arrest. We got this other manifesto. No. We need to start having discussions that will coalesce into a vision for our country. And that should be used by each successive government, not each person bring their own thing. And can you please, as a leader, start putting in people who, they have the right names or the right connections, or they were related to your uncle or your auntie, or they're married to your cousin. You need everybody in the country. I always tell people, the wisest person I know, the person who has made me what I am, to be able to speak truth to power without shame or fear, my great-grandmother. She may have stopped in 3rd grade. She may have not known a lot, but she knew about Liberia and she knew about life. And everything I learned, common sense, is because of my great-grandmother. We have people who are willing, and then Anthony, to talk. They're willing to be included. But no, we want to put this person because we know their uncle, or this person we went to the same school. That document should be our foundational document, and we build on it. So you're right. No matter what government comes in, they can build beautiful windows. It will crash if the foundation is not strong. And so that vision should be a countrywide vision that we put together, not the dream of the president or this. The president is our manager to put things in place to carry out that vision. But that vision should come from the Liberian people. And we need a strong leader. To move Liberia forward, we need a strong leader, and we need competent people. We don't need nobody who, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. No, we need competent people. That's why we need Anthony, and I agree with you. If we do that in the next 15 years, we will move Liberia forward. And I agree with James that there are some young people who are willing to work for this new Liberia. So I end there.
Thank you, Jackie. You couldn't excel it so profoundly. This country, Liberia, there's so much about Liberia that we should not be struggling.
So can we take a few calls before we wrap
up? Yes, James, let's do that quickly.
Yes, so let me just announce the numbers. 0777 959 959 0777 959 959 0777 959 959 0881 871 670 0881 871 670. Okay, we have somebody here on the line quickly. Welcome, good evening.
Jim, good evening.
Welcome. Your name, where do you call from?
Thank you. Good afternoon to the panelists.
Okay.
My name is Ebu Fofana. I always come from Joe community.
Okay, go ahead.
Jim, they cover, when people be coming to the public platform and they will come with security. I hear one of the panelists, and I know that he who's questioning you about, he's talking about I have hope. They meant the where is the hope? Liberia now, university not only the problem of Liberia. You talking about such scenario is true. But now, and I even having on 12 early 12 years, I was like that's a movie for a go southeast. Now it's from the university. So you talk about they don't have hope. In 2 years, no. That means you got there. I believe in the country. How many of you guys get in the country? You're getting money, you're spending on that side, you're getting the government. If you want to know the problem of the country, can't in the country. Go while you go look for money, you can't invest in the country, but never do that one. But you'll say that on the radio to question the government.
Okay.
The government less than 2 years. Rosy. So now can we see. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's get another person. Welcome. Your name, where do you call from?
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Your name, where do you call from?
Yeah, I'm John King.
Go ahead.
Hello, you getting me, sir?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm John King. I'm calling from the telephone.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to you and your studio and panelists. You know what all they are saying, especially this Jackie, actually what she is saying is actually right. You know, our people in this country, especially our leaders, they went there, they learned, and they came back for them to implement what they learned and bring it to the table. For everybody, they are just doing their own thing. Keeping us in poverty so that we can be driven tomorrow by them. Because they all want to be in power, they don't want to educate us. They don't want to educate the Liberian. Because they see that when they educate the Liberian, when the Liberians are educated, nobody will run behind somebody for $5 or $10. So our leaders actually are the problem. They go out there, they see great things, they see good things, for them to bring it to our country, they see it, they deprive us from it.
Okay. All right.
So that is what I want to say.
Thank you so kindly. Let's get another person. Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Your name, where do you call from? Okay.
Yes, okay, so I do join you from Mandagle.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I want to say a big thanks for the participation in studio or out of studio. See, all these points shows are very for me. I'm reading forestry at the University of Liberia and on Fender campus. You measure.
Hello, are you there? I can't get you. Please call back. Let's take another person. Please call back 0777 959 959. Let's see if we can squeeze in 2 calls at least. Then we can do our party comments. 0777 959 959. 0777 959 959. Okay. Welcome.
Hello,
Your name, where do you call from?
I'm Francisco McCarty, joining from the car this afternoon.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you guys for your talent performance. You people disclose to the public. But all the issues today, Labrador is backward, is from. Hello?
Yeah, your life.
Yeah. What makes today we are backward? Since Labrador funded up the questions is our lawmakers. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Please go ahead. Sorry, unfortunately, I did not cut you off. Probably your minutes finished or your units ran out. Yeah, but you listen to the callers. So it's back to you, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you, James. There's a brother that said that, you people in America, you people don't want to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are other people who don't want to come, they have a reason. If our country is doing better, some people will come, or a lot of people come. Everybody will want to come. The reality is that we are all coming. No Liberian has forgotten Liberia. Everybody will react to their frustration in a different way. They may decide to stay away, but I guarantee you, if we get it right, I believe everyone will want to come home. Even those who were born here will want to come. Some are even going home. Their parents are carrying them, trying to tell them that, oh, there's a country called Liberia. Our country, in every respect, is a beautiful country. We just have to be honest to ourselves. It's not the natural beauty of the country we're talking about here. We have to build infrastructures. We have to educate ourselves, our people, so that the name Liberia can mean something and not only a land space or land mass. And that is what we are talking about. And, we have to look in the faces of our leaders and tell them that we're not insulting them. We are telling them, hey, you are in that position now, or to decide for us to move our country or forward to change conditions. And that is all we're saying, Jackie is in Liberia every time. I'm in Liberia 4-5 times a year. So we're trying our best, but what more can we do? We need our government to work for us, and then everything will go well. It has been a great show, Jackie.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, it has been very good. This discussion really taught me a lot. It's good to hear from James, and I want to thank people who are watching. And we should do this more often, just a little ad hoc check-in, discuss.
Sure.
And so thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. On that note, James, we will say bye-bye to all the radio listeners from on our side here. I know the radio show continues, but we'll close with our song that says, we are all Liberians, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.